My name is Umberto Castañeda, and it's way past your Berto time. Today I'm going to talk about belief. Belief systems. What do you believe? What do I believe? What do any of us believe? Why do we believe? Believing in something is very important. You sort of cannot operate, you cannot function in life if you don't believe in certain things. Now, most things you believe implicitly. When you start off as a little baby, you certainly have no concept about what belief is. You don't know words, but your brain starts believing things. Your brain starts believing that almost right, actually probably immediately, because it's programmed, I think, your brain is already wired this way, that as soon as you're out of the womb, you cry. Now, again, you're not aware why you're crying, but your body cry. You cry, and you expect something in return. When you get your food, that reinforces a pattern. Then, essentially, your brain starts believing that if you cry, you will get attention and food and comfort. And it is a belief. Again, it's not in words. You are not aware that you don't know that you've connected the dots. Your body, your brain knows. I get food. I get attention. And then as you start growing up, you start believing other things. You start believing things a little more consciously. For example, as you start developing understanding about cause and effect, you see that, every time that you grab at the toilet paper roll and you pull at it like a little kitty, that big person that feeds me, or that big thing that walks in and smells nice and feeds me, says something or makes noises. I don't like those noises, so I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do this, but it's so fun. But you start making these little belief systems. And, then you start actually developing language, because you pick it up, and then you're like, oh, okay. So if I say mama, that thing comes in and does stuff that I like. Oh, okay. And later you're like, if I say dada, I get elevated off the ground. I defy the law of gravity, which I'm very aware of because I'm a 1-year-old. And it's interesting. And so then you start putting two and two together and you make more beliefs. Then you start getting very abstract with your beliefs, right? Because then all of a sudden you're like, okay, if I say a combination of words like dada, play ghost, this magical thing happens where my data figure has now a sheet over themselves and is making all sorts of spooky and fun sounds. Wow, that's pretty cool. So I believe that if I string together certain utterances in a certain way, these fun, really magical things happen. And then they get even more abstract, because you start manipulating people too. You're like, oh, okay, I'm not really sad. But if I pretend to be sad, if I'm like, meh, or if I cry or something, these parental figures will give me something. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to pretend to be sad. Then you start learning how to lie, and then you start learning how to not just lie and manipulate, but you also start learning how to use good arguments to get what you want. Hey, I didn't get a cereal this morning, so I haven't had a lot of sugar today, so can I have a dessert after lunch? And you start really being able to lawyer your way into getting what you want. But that's all built on top of beliefs. Well, and these are all the beliefs that are tangible, right? These are things that are almost very much in your face, cause and effect. But then there are some things that you start believing that are longer term. For example, I have been told that if I put my little tooth under this pillow and wait all night, that tomorrow morning something cool will happen. That's not going to happen. It's not even going to happen while I'm awake. But I'm going to do it. Okay, so that's a longer term belief. Then there's an even longer term beliefs that start kicking in. For example, I need to put together a list, and I need to give this list to my parental figure or mail it or something, because apparently in some amount of time, some crazy magical creature is going to give me gifts if I write the things I want on this list, right? So it's delayed gratification. And then there's other things when you start school and you start if I read this book and I memorize some parts of it. Later, maybe it could be weeks from now, I'll be quizzed on it. But if I do well on that test, good things will happen. And then so these things build. Along the way, you've been injected with other beliefs. Like I just mentioned the Santa Claus thing, right? But there's bigger structures of belief, like religion. You might be told, like, hey, the nature of reality is such that what you see is only temporary, and then when you die, you actually go to this other place that you don't know or you can't see, but this other place is incomprehensibly cool unless you screw up. So you need to delay gratification and modify your behavior at a lifelong level. You don't know how long you're going to live, because if you don't, then bad things are going to happen. So you make this belief system now where you are modifying your behavior, not about tomorrow, not about the next week, not about a month from now, but you're actually thinking super long term. Because someday, like assuming, let's say you live a full life, you don't have an accident or something, you end up being 100, you spent 100 years, give or take, doing the right thing based on your belief system so that eventually it would pay off. It's a big deal. That is a very powerful belief system that gets you to do stuff all those years so that it would pay off in a certain way. We have other beliefs. We have societal beliefs in addition to like religion and things like that. We believe that it's important to follow laws. And we believe that we have to have laws and that it's important to follow them. Now, why do you believe that individually? Why do you believe that, for example, if you agree with me that stealing is not great, right? Why? Why do you believe that? Was it because you personally experienced what it was like to live in a society where stealing was okay, and you saw all the negative consequences, and then you came to the realization that it was better not to have it be okay? Or maybe it was a minor thing, like someone stole something from you and that felt bad, so you thought, oh yeah, that shouldn't be okay. Could be. But in a lot of these cases, we've been given these pieces of knowledge that were hard fought by our ancestors. So yeah, in fact, for a million years or who knows how long, there were hominids running around killing each other. And they were like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. And if anyone was like, wait, why are you killing that other hominid? Like, what do you mean? Why am I killing? That's what we do. We kill each other. But over time, some of these hominids are like, hold on, but like, if we're just all killing each other all the time, then we don't have time to have fun, or we can't relax. We're always stressed. Look how young we're dying because we're all stressed. Or look, now we figured out this thing, like I've got a little crop going with food we can actually eat. But if you're going to kill me and everyone's going to kill each other, like we don't get to enjoy life. We don't get to plan for the future. And actually there's other threats. Look, while we're busy killing each other, there's another bigger tribe that's coming to kill us. Like, shouldn't we like not kill each other so we can defend against this bigger tribe or other animals and so forth, right? So over time, these groups of people essentially start agreeing. It's like a pinky promise, really. Like, well, let's not kill each other. Let's not kill each other. Let's make it a rule that we're not going to kill each other. And there's well, if you believe in religion, you think, well, something came out of the sky and told them. But if you don't, or maybe in a lot of other tribes that didn't have that benefit, right? No. It's just conclusions through lots of blood and disappointment that eventually they're like, man, this doesn't work. We should really not be doing this. So then they set up some belief system that's like, killing's bad. Okay, killing's bad. Now it's a little asterisk because they're like, well, no, I mean, we can still kill the other tribe because we don't want them to kill us and stuff. But this, like, killing each other's bad. Okay. And then other things like we shouldn't steal because, Johnny was stealing from Ugo and like they were unhappy and then they stole from me. And so like, stealing's bad. Then you get even more evolved sets of laws. And then by now, like you look at our society today, there are thousands and thousands of laws in the books. And it's because we have a very complex society, right? So you have to say like, well, is it okay to cross the street in a certain way at a certain time or not? Those kinds of things. And we've all agreed. And these are our belief. Our belief is that laws are useful and that we should follow them. And we believe that the laws are there and that someone's going to be watching, or that at least many of them we should follow because they benefit us too. These are all belief systems. And then we have, but see, a lot of these are just built into our daily function. In other words, when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to remember all the laws or review all your belief systems, right? These are, in general, just kind of in the back. And every now and then they manifest, right? Like if you're then driving to work, you might remember, oh, right, I'm not supposed to go over the speed limit. Oh, right, I'm not supposed to cut someone off, or, those kinds of things. But what about the things that can affect our behavior in ways that are more positive to ourselves? So fine. So now we've integrated well into society. But if that's all we do, we're going to be pretty static, right? Like, for example, how do you get from I'm not going to kill, I'm not going to run the speed limit, I'm not going to do these things, to I'm a successful entrepreneur? What was the belief system there? Now, it could be related to laws in some ways, like, I guess, but it's not so direct. Like, you have to pay taxes, but to pay taxes, you have to make money, but there's no law that says you have to make money. There's no law that says you have to make more money, unless you're a corporation, and then there is an expectation to your stockholders, like a publicly traded corporation. But in general, as an individual, there is no law that says you have to invent a new thing, or you have to expand a business, or these laws don't exist. So what gets a person from just not littering or loitering to actually having a successful chain of burgers, or having an invention that they sell on a late night, channel, or having a YouTube channel where they talk about random things like belief systems? So some of it could come from religion, right? So maybe you're a Mormon, and part of your duty as a Mormon is to actually tithe to the church, and you can't tithe if you don't make money. So like, you're gonna need to make money, okay? And also part of your duty is to go and evangelize. So why did you go to Africa? Well, it's part of my religion, right? So like, religion could drive some of these things, but I'm not sure. Like, why would someone go to a 4-year degree and then another 4 years on top of that to do specializations? So that's where you have things like your family. Your family has like little local beliefs. So you might be growing up in a household where they say, hey, you got to be a doctor. You got to be a lawyer. Or maybe nowadays, like, you got to be a computer programmer or something like that, right? Because they want you to be safe. And to them, safety means you're going to have a safe job. Safe job means they pay you enough and it's like secure and there's plenty of them to go around. So historically, a doctor, a lawyer, they get paid well. There's always a need for them. Nowadays, computer programmer, and there's a few other things like that. But if you say, well, that's all great and good, I just want to play music. Usually, not usually, but in a lot of cases, the family might say, well, that's nice, but you still need a job. Unless you're like off the charts talented right off the bat and everyone around you is like, oh my gosh, that's the next Mozart, where they might actually try to capitalize on you as you're young. It's usually with art, or maybe you want to be a poet, or maybe you want to do YouTube videos, right? It's very likely that your family might say, well, that's nice. That's great. We encourage it. But what are you going to do for money? What are you going to do for a living? So there is that layer of family belief systems that might propel you to go get a 4-year degree and then go more education and then go into a field. Maybe your parent was in one of these fields. Like maybe your dad or mom was a doctor, or maybe your uncle was a computer programmer, or whatever, right? So like, you might have those influences. And then you might go and do that. But then what happens? How does the rest of your life unfold? Was it always just following in the footsteps? No, clearly at some points you start veering. And what are the things that influence those belief systems? Well, it's a whole host of things, right? It's the books you've read. It's the friends you have. It's the media you consume. It's the time spent alone thinking. It's the traumatic events. It's the elation that you feel in certain times. It is, it's a small thing that happened to you that meant a lot. All of those things add up and they net out in some way. Your brain is always randomly, not randomly entirely, but sort of randomly, resolving inputs into outputs. And so you might have read a book, Crime and Punishment. And you also read Carl Jung, and you also read Nietzsche, and then you had some traumatic stuff in your life. So now you preach to anyone who will listen that truth is relative, unless you want it to not be relative, and you preach that there are bigger truths to be found and that they're really found in religion and all these things. And that's just like the inputs that you take in. So how can we take inputs that produce a desired outcome? And actually, to back up for a second, what is a desired outcome? And it's sort of chicken and egg. It's potentially an undecidable proposition, because you cannot pull yourself out of your situation and impartially ask yourself, what do you want without any influences? That is meaningless. That doesn't exist. It's impossible. You literally cannot figure out what you want outside of your influences. Everything that you say you want is the result of what's in your brain already. So that's not going to work, right? So we can't fully say, well, I'm going to make an impartial determination of what I want to do, and then I'm going to go and populate my brain with the right influences. However, we can do the following. Starting from where you are at right now, you can do a few exercises. Here's one exercise. One is to say, well, whatever the set of influences in my head right now, let me take some time to myself. So let me put a pause on the YouTube video. You can do this right now. You can pause and do what I'm going to describe. You can put a pause on other people, put a pause on your own, like go make sure you have a snack or whatever. Don't let things distract you. And then you're going to take some time to sit quietly, meditate, and think about what it is that you want. What is the belief you hold about where you want to go, where you want to end up? And again, it's going to be influenced. It's impossible for it not to be influenced. But start with that. Then once you have an idea, or maybe it's 10, maybe you have 10 things that you want to end up doing or that you want to become. So like for me, look, if I do this exercise, right, which I've done, I come out and I say, all right, okay. And I'm going to be brutally honest right now. Number one, I need money. But why do I need money? I don't just love money. I need money because I am afraid. I am afraid that if I don't have enough money, I'm not going to fare well in the way that the ecology of the world and the social dynamics of politics and everything are going. I'm afraid that I'm not going to fare well because the climate is getting worse, more extreme, because people are getting more polarized and more violent. And I feel like if I don't have enough money to insulate myself and those who I love, I might get swallowed up by the chaos. So I feel like I need money. Number two, I need a community. So I've run the numbers in my head and I think, well, what am I going to do? Like live in a cabin in the woods? First of all, those woods might go up in flames too. Second, there's a lot of things I don't know how to do. So maybe I need a community of people that can provide different things. Start a commune. Make another video. Maybe I'll make a whole series about the commune idea. But number three, I want to be creative. So now the first two are just like, how do I stay alive? The third one is like, what do I want to do if I stay alive? The third one is I want to be creative. Meaning I want to put out things that I invent. And that's the most meaningful thing to me. I don't actually care. I mean, like, on the one hand, would it be cool if a lot of human beings enjoy what I create and like tell me like, you're so great. What you create is amazing. I think you're super creative. Yes, of course, that feeds my ego. I'm a bit of a narcissist. That'd be great. At the same time, first of all, I fear fame. Like I've seen too many bad things when people start knowing who you are and things. And I'm not sure that'd be great. But putting that aside, I don't think that's what I want to. That's not the root reason why I want to be creative. For example, like I've made music before, and I've finished an album. I actually finished 2 albums, and they never sold. Like I never really went out on the road touring or anything. But honestly, I felt so satisfied when I had it, when I finished it. Like I have the album; it's complete. I might have one here. Yeah, here it is. Give me 1 second. All right. This is one of the albums. It's Plastic Polly, see you next Wednesday. You know, it's got 9 songs. I'm very proud of this. I'm okay. Oh, look, my cat's here. My cat. Hey, are you proud of this album? Be honest. Don't look away. Look at me. You don't have to lie. You can say you're not. All right, fine. Whatever. Everyone's a critic. But the point is, I'm proud of it. And that was enough for me. Would it be cool if this sold 1 million copies and I made money? Yeah, that'd be cool. But that's not why I did it. And when I realized that, it kind of was freeing. I was like, oh, I just want to create and put it out there. Because I actually enjoy the act of creation. Oh my gosh. I enjoy the act of creation. And so that's what's important. All right. So those are my three things. And how did I arrive at those, at least those primary three things for now? Well, it is what's in my head, right? It's like I look at the trends with global warming. I look at the trends with what's happening in this country between the left and the right. And I fear that. But at the same time, I've also looked at what I've done professionally, what I've done in my life, what I've liked, what I've not liked. And then I net out on like, yeah, I just want to create. That's what I want to do. So that's what I do. But so that's step one. You sit there, you meditate, you come up with like, what do you want? The next one is harder, even though that first one's not easy, especially if your list is super long. And I've had a super long list. I've done this where I come out with like, well, I want to write books. I want to make movies. I want to be a famous rock star. I also want to be an actor. I also want to be make video games. I want to make, like, my list can be very long. Okay, Kat, come here. My list can be very long, right? But say hello. All right. But I've narrowed it down to some things, right? So the second step is to reevaluate the inputs that went into those outputs. So go back and do a new exercise. This exercise is not about what you want. It's about what influenced what you say you want. And then poking into it, poking holes at it, like pushing and seeing how strong those foundations are. So for me, I've done this a few times, and sometimes I net out in a place where I think is right, and then I go and push on the foundations, and it's like, poof, it crumbles. For example, I was like, I want to be a famous rock star. That was a thing at one point. And I'm like, okay. But then when I pushed on it, I'm like, well, okay, what do you need to do to be a famous rock star? Well, first of all, you got to play music. That's what you got to do. Like, I mean, if the main thing you're doing every day is not playing music, I don't know what you mean by saying that you want to be a rock star or like a famous musician. I guess you could just say, well, I already am famous, and so I'm going to like spin that into, but if you're not already famous, like, so you have to play music. So whatever I'm doing right now, if the main thing I'm doing is not playing music, there's already a bug. So then that's one thing. And I'm like, well, is that what I want to do? Like quit everything else and just play music? The second one is like, well, I'm going to have to take my show on the road. Like I got to tour. I got to like go out there and play, you know? Then I'm like, is that what I want to do? Now there's other ways to do it. You don't have to tour, right? Like I could just record music and put it out. So I've played with that too. It's like, okay, well, that's what I want to do. But the more I pushed at those pillars, the more I realized, that's not why I want to do music. I just love writing songs, and I love the process and stuff. But I don't know if I want a job doing it. And I also haven't spent the explicit time doing it. So I'm like, all right. So that one didn't net out to be exactly aligned, right? But there were others, like with the whole, like, I want to just be a creative. That is related to music. I want to have the financial independence so I can just create. And that is very selfish, but in a different way to think about it is, all we can do in this world as members of the universe is put our little contribution into the pile. And I feel my contribution is just like things that I can create. And with the hope, I guess, sure, with the hope that others will find those interesting and then they'll take them and do more stuff with them. And that's what I think my contribution can be. So it's not just about me. It's also about what I'm going to leave behind. So that's the second step, though, is sit there and poke holes at your pillars. Like, what is it? What works? What doesn't work? What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? The third step, because after you do that second step, you're going to find some that don't. And so you're going to want to try to replace them or buttress them or completely reevaluate. So you're going to it's going to end up modifying what you believe your beliefs are, where you want to end up. And so the third step is to go and reintegrate. Reintegrate with the net result of all those holes you poked, all those new things you need to build up, and see where you land. And where you land is now where you want to go. Now, if you just do this process one time and only at one age and think that that's going to hold for the rest of your life, I don't think that that's true. But if you practice this process, I think it's a matter of triangulation. You can always be sort of like helping your belief system aim you a little bit better. And you also get practice doing it. So, ow, why are you attacking me? Okay, so anyways, that's what I wanted to say about that. To end with, I wanted to also mention another dangerous part of belief. So when you believe something, like for example, let's take my cat for example. My cat right now is biting my hand. Look at and pawing me. Okay, like look. The cat believes here. Oh, now you're not doing it. Okay. The cat believes that if I have my hand there, it is useful for the cat to bite my hand. Like for some reason, it has little programming in its head that says, if owner hand in front of face, I bite. And that this nets out to good feelings or whatever. I think it's a young cat. It's a 1-year-old cat. So maybe it's still thinking, well, it's time to play. And playing for me is biting. So that makes sense. But what happens for me, the owner, is like every time I get bit, I'm like, no, bad kitty. That's my pie, right? And that, I don't know how that feels for the cat. Does the cat not understand maybe? Like I'm no cat whisperer, so I don't know, right? But that belief system can sometimes land the cat in trouble. As an example, there's another thing the cat does. The cat loves to sit here and jump on my monitor or jump on my TV. And that's no good. So when that happens, cat ends up in the bathroom for a little while until it comes out and see if it does it again. And if it doesn't do it again, it doesn't have to go back in the bathroom. So that belief system for the cat is self-destructive. I have had self-destructive belief systems. For example, I've had shopping compulsions, shopping addictions when I was younger, and they were based on faulty belief systems. So the belief systems in our head really are everything to us. We have our memories to kind of give us the sense of who we are, what we belong to. But our belief systems are what move us forward. So our memories are all about the past leading us to the present, and our belief systems are the present leading us to the future. And it's critical that we get our belief systems in order. So I encourage you to get your belief systems in order. I'll work with Kitty here to get our belief systems in order. And I'll see you next time.